So on September 4th, 2023, you and your family's life changed forever.
The Ocean Springs School District is mourning the loss of one of its students today.
Hearts are heavy at the Ocean Springs Middle School. The school district says one of its students, 8th grader Aubrey Wyatt, has died.
Share with us what you remember about that day.
I found Aubrey. Now we know she had been gone for a few hours, but it doesn't process in your head. So I was trying to do CPR on her, and Taylor was screaming at me to stop. She was like, you can't. And the police and ambulance and everything showed up. It was chaotic. I remember begging God to take me. I came out of the room and the coroner went in there. It was a lot.
Every day, you are making your brain better, or you are making it worse. Stay with us to learn how you can change your brain for the better every day. Are you struggling with anxiety, depression, obsessive thinking, past emotional trauma, ADHD, or brain fog, and don't know where to turn? Are your relationships a mess and you don't know why? Have you had a brain injury, concussion, or just don't feel the same after COVID? Is your memory worse than it was 10 years ago? Or do you have a parent or grandparent with dementia and want to work on prevention? Yes, prevention is possible, but the sooner you start, the better. For 35 years, we've been changing people's brains and their lives using brain SPECT imaging and a personalized, natural approach to brain and mental health care. And we have some of the best published outcomes anywhere. Go to amenclinics.com to learn more. And when you call us, mention Podcast 10 for a 10% discount. Welcome to the Change Your Brain Everyday podcast. We are very excited to have Heather Wyatt, who is a devoted mom to Taylor and Riker, and the proud mother of Aubrey, whose life and legacy inspired the creation of the Aubrey Wyatt Foundation, a nonprofit dedicated to supporting teens and families through therapy, resources, and mental health awareness. Following the tragic loss of her 13-year-old daughter, Heather turned her grief into purpose, sharing her story to break stigmas and bring hope to others. With over 3 million social media followers, she inspires and reminds people daily that they are never alone. Heather is also an upcoming author working on a memoir that chronicles her journey of faith, resilience, and advocacy. Welcome to the Change Your Brain Everyday podcast.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
You came
Thank
all
you.
the way
Thank
from
you.
Mississippi.
I did.
We
Yes.
are just deeply honored. Would you be open to sharing a bit about your daughter? What she was like as a person?
She was very outgoing, very bubbly, laughed all the time, silly, always had the funniest pranks. She was very close with all of us. She almost acted like a second mama to her little brother, and then her and her sister were very close. They were close in age and just also close to each other. So
tell us the story of what happened.
So Aubrey experienced bullying from the time she was in 5th grade. It was on and off. It would be individuals she was close with that she would consider a friend. And then they would lash out. They would make videos about her. They would pick on her. They would have like slumber parties and then tell her, oh, you can't come. And then the next week they would be friends with her again. And through our faith, something we had always taught is just forgiveness, kindness, compassion. And so initially when this started, we thought, oh, maybe this is just some teenage stuff. But it continued to a point that I told Aubrey she could no longer stay the night with these people, that they weren't good friends, that, I needed to step in and make those decisions. But it escalated. It continued at school. She would get physically assaulted by them. And then she got to a point where she was scared to tell because she would say that they were going to call her snitches and things like that. They would call her vulgar names, make group chats about her, and then a week later be her friend or attempt to be her friend. And it went on a long time. So I think over time that wearing down, along with mental health and things like that, she began to not value herself. She began to not find worth and felt unwanted and unneeded. She felt like there was no way out.
Why were they targeting Aubrey? Did you know why they were targeting Aubrey?
I don't. I think some of it is just that inner girl jealousy, that inner girl group, mean girl thing that they do among each other.
Because when I was doing my research, she looks like a very cute, normal girl her age.
She was your typical average teenager, beautiful. Just, I think that within that age, there's a lot of jealousy and wanting to be better than the other. And I think also they have things going on in their personal lives that we may not know about. And Aubrey was an easy target. She didn't lash
What
back
did we
out.
say earlier? Hurt people.
Hurt people.
Yeah, and if you
Very
don't
true.
heal from what hurt you, you bleed on people who didn't touch you.
Absolutely, yes. And I think the fact that Aubrey didn't lash out, she didn't get back at them.
So she didn't really stand up for herself with them.
No, and she continued to forgive them. And it's a good quality, but it also put herself in a situation, I think, to continue to allow to be that target.
Right. Because there is a point where
Right.
it's okay to draw boundaries.
Right. And I think that that's hard. I mean, as a teenager, you just want your friends, and knowing where to draw that boundary and understand, okay, this isn't a friend. This is actually someone that's trying to hurt me and make me feel less than I am. So I think
What
that's
was that
hard.
like for you?
It was hard. It was hard, especially because I was a teacher in the same school district that she was in. So when I would advocate for her or ask them to do things, I was also limited with how aggressive I could be with my approach. So I would reach out to the principals, our superintendents, the teachers. The teachers knew. They would email. They would say that their hands were tired, which as a teacher, I completely understand. All you can do is send it up the ladder. And so for me, it was heartbreaking. I reached out to the parents. I went through every avenue that I knew possible at the time to do to try to help her. And it just wasn't enough.
Did you see any signs?
I did not. I will say her 7th grade year, she struggled a lot with anxiety and depression due to this. She had been sexually assaulted by a young boy at a baseball game. We had reported that as well. I think in the school said that because it was there, it was up to them. There were just so many things that I also was unaware of as far as what I could do, and assumed that the school had my child's best interest at heart. And so 7th grade was rough. That was when a lot of the bullying and things were going on. And when 7th grade ended, we went into summer, and she was so happy. I mean, literally a couple of days before she passed away, she was picking out Christmas gifts. She was picking out vanities. She seemed happy. She had just started 8th grade. She had been in 8th grade 1 month. So for us, 7th grade, she did have that anxiety, depression. We knew it was bullying. School year.
What, did she see somebody for the anxiety and
She
depression?
did. So she saw her pediatrician regularly, and then she saw counselors, therapists on and off since she was in 5th grade. We would increase as needed, decrease. And she had started one just because she had hit teenage years. She needed to see someone that was more experienced in that. So I don't know if it's like this everywhere, but in Mississippi, there's not a lot of resources. And there's definitely not a lot of pediatric therapist counselors. So she was on a wait list to go into that next phase while being maintained by her pediatrician. She had actually just gone into July to her pediatrician for a checkup, waiting on that wait list to be seen by someone.
And was she on medication?
She was low dose of anxiety medicine. I want to say 5 milligrams. She
Of
was.
what? Do you remember what it was?
I want to say Prozac, but I'm not positive on that. It was I believe it was with a P, so I want to say Prozac, but I would have to go back and look.
Was it an SSRI?
It was, yeah.
It was an SSRI.
Mm-hmm.
Which in some people can disinhibit them.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
There's concern about using those in adolescence, and it has a black box warning.
Yes.
That may increase.
Right.
I'm sure you've learned a lot about that.
Which is something we found out after. Now, I will say...
the pediatrician didn't tell you that?
No. I think where Aubrey was at in 7th grade, that was probably our best option. And then we went into summer, and Aubrey did seem, I guess, better. So we assume, it's the medicine working. Well, little do we know it's because she's not in school. She's not around kids anymore. And I think that's a tough thing too with the social media is you're at school all day. You used to be able to go home, and if you were being targeted or bullied, it ended at home.
Oh no,
and
it's
now
worse.
now it doesn't.
And just like you said, the other kids make videos.
Yeah,
well, and it's worse because now they're not being monitored. And they're
right, exactly. And
because I'm also a child psychiatrist, and when I started, there was no social media, no cell phones. And there was none of this mass bullying, right? With social media.
They get people on board.
You can get fame, but you can also get a lot of shame.
Yeah.
And
you can get fame by bullying.
Potentially toxic, right? It's almost like bullying squared, or exponentially. You feel exponentially assaulted because it's not just that friend group. It's all of the friends of the friend group and all of the friends of the friends of the friend group.
The comments, the likes, the being attacked online at that point. Then.
Is that what she was feeling?
Toxic.
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely. And at one point, because I'd reach out, she even would send their parents the videos. They knew what their kids were doing.
Did you ever get any support from the parents that they were doing anything?
They were nothing. And I think that was, for me as an adult with a developed brain, that was hard. So I can only imagine what it felt like for Aubrey
undergoing
to think, oh my gosh, this is never going to end. Like they're not going to stop. Their parents aren't going to make them stop. The school's not going to make them stop.
And she has an older sibling. Did the older sibling ever experience anything like that?
No. I think that Taylor hung out with a different dynamic of children. And so for Taylor, I don't think that she experienced it because of the children she was hanging out with. We live in a very small town. Everyone knows everyone type of thing.
So there weren't a lot of school choices.
Oh, no. There's one elementary, there's one middle school, and there's one high school.
So on September 4th, 2023, you and your family's life changed forever. Yeah. Share with us what you remember about that day.
That's like, that's like an anniversary.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We just had her 2-year anniversary. It was awful. Screaming, crying. I found Aubrey. It was traumatic. Now we know she had been gone for a few hours, but that doesn't process in your head. So I was trying to do CPR on her, and Taylor was screaming at me to stop. She was like, you can't. And the police and ambulance and everything showed up. It was chaotic. I remember begging God to take me. I remember just being angry once I came out of the room and the coroner went in there. It was a lot.
What was the morning like Go through the day with me.
So it was Labor Day. I'd woken up. I always did a home workout in the mornings, so nothing seemed off. It was around 7 when I woke up. I sat on the couch, got everything ready, started my workout, and I got hot, which wouldn't have been like out of the ordinary, but normally Aubrey in the middle of the night would always go turn the air down, and she liked it colder. So when I would work out, it would already be cold. So I was like, oh, that's so weird. Why am I hot?
So you noticed something off right away.
I was like, why am I'm working out and I'm getting hotter than like,
so the routine,
like the air.
The routine was off.
And so our living room and a hallway connected. So I went to go to turn the air on in the hallway, and kind of like the peripheral, I saw her, and I saw her vanity on the floor. And my first thought was, this child already thinks she's getting her vanity because that's what she'd been picking out for Christmas. So I was like, oh my goodness. And then I turned and saw her and ran and started screaming. And then Taylor came, and Taylor had to help me cut her down.
Oh God.
Thank God Riker was in the far end of the house. God's blessing. He didn't hear anything. He was on his iPad. That's what he did when I worked out. I was like, this is your iPad time. Thank God, though, because he didn't hear anything. And then it was chaos.
So she had passed away in the middle of the night.
Yeah, they think that it was about 2 a.m. It was about 10 when I found her. So I'd gotten up at 7, did everything, started that like 9:45 to 10. And when they got there,
and she never talked about a plan. She never talked about it at all.
Never.
Do you think she was on social media in the middle of the night?
I do. She had posted, they were in her draft. She had 2 videos, and we've shared them on my social media since then. And it just said no. It was to a song that said, no, it's for the better. And it was her crying. And it was 9:03. So it was a couple hours before she did.
Did you notice anything different the night before dinner? Or?
Nothing. She had been.
So you have
shopping.
no idea what triggered it?
I don't know if she saw a video. I don't know if it had just been building up and she had just kept a straight face all summer. I don't know what happened.
So that's got to be very hard not understanding.
Yeah.
And feeling like you didn't see or know or.
Yeah.
We are so sorry.
I can't.
Thank you.
I have no words as a mom.
Yeah. I mean, we went through her phone. We had her phone sent off. I mean, we've obviously found things, but nothing that was specific to that night that would have been like a trigger. I just try to tell myself that impulsivity, it takes 10 seconds to make a decision.
That lasts forever.
You know what I've told my patients, suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary feeling.
It is.
And it doesn't just affect you.
Right.
It affects all the people you love. So if you hate all the people you love, do this.
Yeah. I think it's hard though, when even as an adult. So I struggle with my mental health after Aubrey passed. And as an adult with those thoughts, it was hard because you don't, in your immediate thought,
pain.
You literally don't think outside of that. You're not considering
it's like
everything
your brain
else.
gets in a tunnel.
Yes.
And the tunnel has no windows and no doors.
Nothing. That is
so even in normal grief that happens.
A good counselor he'll break through some of that and go, if you do this, you've just increased the risk of Riker and Taylor doing it because you're teaching them this is how grown-ups solve problems.
Right. And we've had 2 people now do it.
Yeah.
And so that's why counseling's so important.
It is.
To just get out of your own head.
Yes.
And
so even in normal grief is so hard.
Oh,
Now you add the trauma and the loss of a child.
Yes.
And
yes, it was a lot too. It took a long time to be able to fully grieve. And almost immediately after Aubrey passed out, I knew the importance of therapy. So I immersed myself and the children into that. But then it became battles within the school district and then legal battles. And for a year and a half, it was constant fighting with systems because of what had happened with Aubrey. And so in the midst of grieving, in the midst of parenting, then I'm fighting legal battles. I'm fighting schools. I left teaching. My whole world. When you lose a child,
so there are so many things.
Yes, it was such a combination of train wreck. It was an utter train wreck. Because it was just one thing after another to a point you're like, why? What's the point? Like, what's the goal here? Like, what am I supposed to be doing?
And are you still living in the same place?
We still live in the same city, but we did move houses. And I think that did help. I think for some that maybe they don't need that. I think for us, it just felt like a dark place.
What are some things people said or did that were helpful after the loss?
One thing that really stuck out is another person that had gone through similar things said that grieving is like you're in the water with a buoy and the waves are just coming and coming. And some days those waves are going to push you under and you're going to come up and you're going to try to catch your breath and you're not going to be able to. And then some days the waves are a little less. There's always going to be waves. You're always going to be treading water now. But some days are easier than others. And that on those hard days, I remind myself, okay, this is a day that the waves are just going to keep coming.
So equally important, what are some of the things that people have said that you wish they hadn't said that weren't helpful?
I don't know that I wish they wouldn't have said it because I know their intention was good, but like, she's in a better place. Well, like I know, but I'm still hurting. But I know they mean well.
Did you guys go to church? Do you have a faith?
Yes. We've always been immersed in church. We, went to Baptists and things like that. And we've kind of just ended up in non-denominational. But yes, we are big into church. Aubrey was actually at a church retreat the summer before she passed. That was her first big away win. And it was wonderful actually for her. But yes, big into church. Our faith is what keeps us going.
In a better place.
She
is in a better place.
She is.
At least for me.
Yes. Well, and that is one thing.
Helps. And sometimes the illness wins.
Yes.
Right? If she had cancer, you would feel awful and you would grieve.
Yes.
But you would feel different.
Right.
Because you would go, well, that's not a choice.
Right.
But suicide is often the illness wins.
Yes.
And, I'm not a huge fan of SSRIs for children.
Yes.
Especially if you don't look at their brains. See, what we do here is
yes.
if we would have seen her, we would have went, well, let's look at your brain.
Right.
And are SSRIs the right thing?
Yeah.
And if you have a really busy brain, they're the right thing. But Tana got depressed in her 20s.
It was the wrong med
when she had thyroid cancer. And it was the absolute wrong thing for her.
And for some people,
because
it's
she
magical.
had a sleepy brain. And what Prozac does, or Zoloft, or Lexapro, or all the SSRIs, serotonin is an inhibitory neurotransmitter, calms things down. Well, if she started with low activity,
that's interesting.
It can disinhibit her and create a disaster.
If someone has a busy brain, it can be magical.
So if you don't mind me asking, what was the solution if not a SSRI for
So
that.
maybe it would have been something like Wellbutrin, which is a more
Okay.
stimulating
Okay.
antidepressant. Or I love saffron,
Mhm.
and saffron in 28 randomized controlled trials showed to be equally effective as antidepressants, but without those kinds of side effects.
But of course, we don't know because we're not able to
Right.
see.
I mean,
Right, you
I'm
don't
just
know.
telling
Yeah,
you what
no,
I
but
would
it's
do
great to have that knowledge, especially
with
having,
my experience.
Yeah.
But one of the reasons I love talking to you is the mission I have is to end the concept of mental illness by creating a revolution in brain health. And I always think about 4 big circles. What's going on in her brain? What's the biology? What's the psychology? So she had a lot of, we call them ants, automatic negative thoughts, the thoughts that come into her mind, and she didn't learn how to control them, right? I talk about killing the ants, right? And then there's the social circle. She's being bullied. That likely, as you said, the trigger when you feel ostracized.
Right.
And there's a spiritual circle. So why do you think you're on the planet? Why do you care? But you gave her a spiritual foundation. So odds are social
And
problems,
biological,
psychological issues. And you said something else that's really important, is she was sexually assaulted. And so that trauma can disrupt her brain.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Is there a history in your family of depression, mom's side, dad's side?
Not really. I think like myself, I've struggled more like postpartum, and more so after the fact. But not that we're aware of. Doesn't mean no, but not that.
Substance abuse?
No.
Yeah.
No.
So, hard to know.
Yeah.
What would you recommend to families who've gone through this?
First is definitely therapy is needed. I think that it's almost impossible to be able to navigate those feelings while navigating your children's feelings without help. There's just no way that I would have known the things to say, the ways to help them when I didn't know myself.
Well, I think that, a parent losing a child is, I can't even begin to imagine. And then the way you lost her is so hard. How are the other children doing?
I think that they're doing better. Of course, with the 2-year mark, everyone's kind of, it's been rough. But I think in general, they're starting to be with their friends again. They're engaged in sports again. They're returning to their lives. I know that there will always be an emptiness there, but I see them socializing again and getting out of the house.
How long does it take them?
Taylor didn't leave the house for over a year. She would go to school. She would not stay the night anywhere. And then Riker, being so young,
Same school.
He's in private school now. We did pull him out. Taylor was so close to graduating that she did not want to change schools and disrupt her path. Disagreed, but I wanted that to be something she was confident in, and she hasn't had any problems. So she is.
Well, she had her own.
She had a good friend
network.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
if she would have had to change schools, that means she would have lost not only her sister, she would have lost her
And that
group.
was a big thing. Is she said, "I've lost enough, and I don't,
And that's fair.
want to lose anymore." So, but I think that they're maintaining. There's always going to be those moments that they struggle more. And then,
and the big
day-to-day.
thing is you have to be okay.
Yeah.
So you have to take care of you.
Yeah.
You've got to do what you need to do.
Absolutely.
It's the most important thing. Because they'll be okay if you're okay.
Yes. And that is one thing I've noticed. They definitely can feed off of my energy.
Right. Because it's going to make them afraid.
You're right. And so that is one thing that I've tried to, we're okay. Let's talk about it. like if Riker gets emotional the other day, he was crying and he was like, I'm sorry. I'm like, no, you're allowed to cry. All the tears are all the hugs you wish you could give Aubrey. So just letting him know that it is okay to be sad too, but allowing those moments and then picking up, and you got to go back to basketball and baseball. You got to keep living.
Hydration is more than just water. Your brain needs the right balance of electrolytes. I add smart electrolytes to my water every morning for fast hydration, brain support, and all-day energy. There's no sugar, just clean ingredients. Try it at brainmd.com with code podcast20 for 20% off. So you started the hashtag LL Law.
Yeah, so live like Aubrey Wyatt.
Live like Aubrey Wyatt.
I had no idea things would end up where they are with social media and how big things got. I had no idea. Initially, after Aubrey passed, I had a friend call and say, hey, we're going to try to sell some shirts to try to help with fundraising costs. I was a single mom teacher, so I was like, sure, I think that would be great. She said, do you want to do Forever 13 or do you want to do Live Like Aubrey? And I was like, let's do Live Like Aubrey because I want her name remembered. Just thinking this is going to stay in our small town. Well, then the shirt said Live Like Aubrey. And then as it continued to expand and reach different levels on social media, it became her full name, Live Like Aubrey Wyatt. And it just soared. And it just, I think to me, it just meant, despite it all, be kind, despite it all, be compassionate, despite it all, like no matter what she was going through, she was smiling and happy, and she didn't lash out. She didn't bully back. She wasn't cruel back. So for me, I think that's what the Live Like Aubrey means, is to just continue to live in grace and compassion.
But for it to have taken off like it did, it means it's touching a nerve. Mm-hmm. It's touching a nerve, and there's some sort of need. Mm-hmm. Who are people that are following, that are reaching out to you, that are leaving comments?
Yes. So tons and tons and tons of teenagers, moms, parents. I've had so many young people reach out and say, you saved me. I've seen your story, and I don't want to do this to my mom, and I can't do this to my family. I've had so many parents reach out and say, because of what you've shared, I'm looking more into this with my child. I'm checking their phones. I'm checking their social media. I'm taking their mental health more seriously. I'm not just downplaying it.
And that's so the goal, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I said that from the beginning, is that if my pain could have purpose, and if I could just make sure that one other family did not have to go through what I was going through, then I could be okay. I'd never be good again, but I could find some grace in this, and that's already happened. And so it continues to.
See, I would challenge that thought. I'll never be good.
Okay.
I would challenge that because it wasn't your choice.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
And yes, you love her and will always love her, but that wasn't your choice.
Yes.
And one of the things I do with my patients is, so let's write that down.
Okay.
I'll never be good. And then go, this is from the work of my friend Byron Katie. Is that true? You'll never be good.
Can you know more than God?
Mm-mm.
And the second question, was that absolutely true? Which would be no. How does that thought make you feel? I'll never be good.
I think I tell myself, I don't know, because in my eye, I'll never be good, never be complete, never be whole. But I guess in that is taking that away, and I don't know what the future holds. I don't know what God has to replenish me with. I don't know.
Yeah, but it makes you feel bad.
Yeah.
And how would you feel?
Hopeless.
How would you feel if you didn't have that thought?
I would be great, but it's hard to not.
You'd feel better.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
my favorite one is the fifth question. So is it true?
Okay.
Is it absolutely true? How does the thought make me feel? How would I feel if I didn't have the thought?
Okay.
Great. And then you take the original thought, I'll
Mhm.
never be whole, and you just turn it to the opposite.
Okay.
I will be whole. And that's where you meditate.
Mm-hmm.
You question the thought. And when you start questioning them, they don't have to stay. But if you
Yeah.
don't question them, you believe them, and then you act as if it's true.
Yeah. I love that.
As a mom, and I'm listening to you go through that little exercise,
Mm-hmm.
am I picking up some guilt? Like you almost
Oh,
feel
yeah.
like you can't let it go. Like you
Yeah.
can't be whole. Like you can't, that's what I'm picking up.
Yeah.
I could feel you holding on to it. Like I'm not allowed to be whole.
And I would just challenge it. Right? Because I think God would want you to be whole.
Yeah.
God doesn't want this for you.
I agree. I don't think that God does it all. I do think that evil exists in the world.
100%.
And so I think that.
But that's not from God.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. No. So I think that it's just one of those battles where.
Absolutely.
Who am I going to listen to?
But as a mom, I'm picking up that you can't let that go because I don't deserve it.
I have a new book coming out in December called Change Your Brain, Change Your Pain.
Okay.
And it's about the intersection of physical and emotional pain because they run on the same circuits in the brain. And I mean, it's clearly emotional pain for you and for her.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that drives both physical and emotional pain is repressed rage. And
you've got to have a lot of that.
I have a lot of that.
Aubrey was nice.
Yes.
Even though probably internally she was furious.
Oh, yeah.
And didn't
but
know
she
how
ended up turning it on herself.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so one of the lessons is when you're angry, you have to find ways to express it. Tana's got 2 black belts.
Martial arts has been so powerful. It's so
she
empowering.
Loves hitting things.
No, hitting big padded men. There's no therapy like it.
I love that. That is wonderful. I will say to add in that, so prior to Aubrey passing, I worked out. And so that was one thing to kind of, I no longer do that. I don't know. It reminds me of that day.
So maybe find something else.
So that is where the past several months I have tried to I wanted to try to work out because I was like, oh, this would actually be great. But it was too much of a trauma response, I guess, immediately.
Have they ever, your therapist helped you with like simple techniques to deal with the trauma?
We have tried a few. Some have worked. There was one, and I couldn't get the image out of my head. I struggled with that. I had nightmares. And it was wonderful. She was like, I just need you to create a container, whatever you want. Close your eyes. We did all this. Put the image in the container. It took so long. I thought it would be so easy, and it took so long. It was lots of tears, and talking through that, and it just felt like I was shoving Aubrey away when I was but she's like, you're just shoving that image. You're putting it there until you can deal with it in little pieces and not so like things like that I think have helped. But
have you ever tried EMDR?
I have not. I've heard great things.
It's
phenomenal.
So good. Because I don't want you shoving away any of the images. I want you to go into them so that you can take the energy out of them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not the same thing. I'm not even beginning to say that this is the same thing because I have a daughter. So I can't even begin to imagine. But when my mom passed away, I grew up in a very crazy environment, traumatic, and I was very close to my mom. But when she passed away, I had so many conflicted emotions and I couldn't sort of grieve cleanly because there's so much anger and conflict mixed in with the love and I'm like, I can't get this straight. Mm-hmm. And so I was very frustrated and I've done EMDR before for my past. Mm-hmm. But when I did the EMDR, the craziest thing happened, and it happened pretty fast. I was able to resolve that conflict so that now when it's not like the memories go away, they don't. So rather than putting them in a container, they're there. But I'm able to, like, I now think about my mom with so much love, and all of that conflict went away. Not the memories didn't go away, but the conflict went away.
Right.
And so now I just have all these very positive emotions, which makes me miss her, but it's not the same. It's clean. It's clean grief. And I know one thing that helped me was that my mom had great faith, and she would not want me to do this. Her biggest fear would have been something happening to her and us not being okay. So I had to start disciplining myself. I'm like, why am I going to make that true for her, that I'm not okay? And so disciplining my brain every time I started to go to that dark place, I'm like, okay, I can miss her. I can love her, but I need to discipline myself away from that dark place because I'm going to honor her by being okay.
I love that. So to get more information on that, is that just something that I would go to?
It's a very specific type of therapist.
Okay.
They have to be certified for.
Okay.
And it's
Well, we can
life-changing.
send you a link.
I would
It's just
love that.
EMDR,
Okay.
IA, and EMDR
Okay.
International
It's
Association.
for trauma.
Okay.
.com.
And does that have a list of physicians and
providers who
And they
do
do it by
it.
Mm-hmm.
Zoom now, so it's so easy.
Oh, I love that. Okay. I
Life-changing.
think
Yeah,
that
we
would
actually
be
have somebody
wonderful.
we love that we recommend all the time, Dr. Rounzen, who trained me on how to do it. And
Life-changing.
yeah.
Is it
it's so helpful.
daily, weekly?
So it
or-
depends on you. His first gift
And
to
it
me.
depends. And it depends on how much trauma
Right.
you've actually had,
Okay.
because it's often the brain you bring into the trauma, right? Finding her, that if that's like it in your life, then maybe in
But it sounds
5
like I might have been
or
more.
10 sessions, you just feel like yourself.
Okay.
If you grew up in chaos like Tana did, well, maybe it's 50 sessions.
Okay, so his
But
first,
it's life changing.
his first gift to me when we were dating was 10 sessions of EMDR. I'm like, I knew I shouldn't have dated a shrink. This is why I didn't want to date a shrink. But
Was it a good gift?
it was a great gift. So I went for I wasn't going to go, but I ended up going because I'm like, I'm not doing therapy. But I went and I did the 10 sessions and I'm like, whoa, like it's weird how it works. It's like a shortcut through therapy almost. It's very strange. But then I realized I needed to keep going because I had a lot of unresolved like childhood trauma. And so I kept going for almost 2 years because I'm like, I'm going to be a better mother. I'm going to be a better wife.
And
And
I
so-
don't want you to think of your life as over because of
No.
a choice you didn't make. And this is so important with survivors, family survivors of suicide.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't your choice. And sometimes the illness wins, just like with cancer. And
I love that you said
You
that. I don't
have-
think I've ever heard it phrased like that. Sometimes the illness wins, just like with cancer. And I don't know. It just takes a weight off
one
my
of the
chest.
things as a mom, we've got between us, we have 4 kids. We adopted my 2 nieces because they also grew up in my family. So one of the, like, I just feel like these years are the most dangerous years because, and it's one thing, like, we've created an environment where, like, I'm very clear with them. I want you to be brutally honest with me about all the hardest things. There's nothing you can say, think, hear, or do that I haven't said, thought, heard, or done.
Right.
So one of the 4.
Yeah.
And we make that very safe for them to talk about anything. But I also make it clear. I'm like, the reason these years are so scary for me, and everyone thinks that it's only like that 13 to 18. No. When they go to college is really scary.
Yes.
So, but I tell them, it's like, one of the reasons this is so scary, you don't have an adult brain yet. Your brain's not fully developed yet. But because you are this age, you have independence. You can make independent decisions. You can make adult decisions that have adult consequences, even though you don't have an adult brain. It's terrifying.
It is.
But you can't
and
change it.
You're
Yes.
also a victim of the changing society with
Social
cell
media.
phones and social media. And I believe it was a Trojan horse that got unleashed on our society
Absolutely.
with no neuroscience study on development. And all the studies that have come out are bad.
And girls are,
right?
in
The
general.
kids who get cell phones before the age of 13 have a higher risk of suicide.
And they're anxious.
That's not in
Yes.
the Apple box.
Right.
Right?
Right.
There's no warning
No. And-
that it's not you have access to the world, it's the world has access to you. And it's my heart
scary.
hurts for you
Me too.
and for this situation. Well, what helps you stay grounded and connected?
I think obviously faith. I think my kids definitely do. And then just knowing that I have to keep going. There's hope out there. It's going to be okay. I may not see Aubrey Earthside ever again, but I will see her heaven side. And so taking away that permanence of she's gone forever. So when I have those impending doom feelings, I try to think on that. Taylor and Riker need me. God has you here for a purpose. You're going to see her. And when you do, it's actually forever this time. And Aubrey's legacy, the work I'm doing is helping other people. And God's allowing something good to come from all of it. So I try to just remind myself, almost like a mantra of those things, just to stay grounded.
So one thing that might be helpful when the feelings overwhelm you, there's a technique I like called havening.
Okay.
And it's so when you have that sense of impending doom, there's an area in your brain called the amygdala. It's like danger, danger, danger.
Yes.
And if your frontal lobes are sleepy, maybe you're jet lagged or you had a glass of wine or whatever, it just overwhelms you. Havening is bilateral, just means both sides. You stimulate both sides of your brain at the same time.
Okay.
And it's similar to EMDR, but if you just take your hands and go like this, like if you're on a plane, and go into the feeling, not away from it, right? Because so many people in this situation, they'll drink or they'll smoke pot because it's like, I just can't feel what I feel. But the problem is when the alcohol wears off or the marijuana wears off, the feeling comes back and it's worse, right? But if you go into the feeling and you do bilateral hemisphere stimulation, so just rubbing your hands like this, or my favorite is just doing this, you go into it for maybe 30 seconds. I mean, feel it. And then distract your mind and go somewhere you really like, whether it's the mountains or the beach or whatever. And just do this for a couple of minutes. And then when you're done, it's like that sense of impending doom has just sort of washed away. It's very powerful. There's a website called Havening, like Safe Haven, havening.org, that the research shows is it just sort of calms that part of your brain. And then I want you watching your thoughts. And you don't have to believe every stupid thing that sort of pops in your head. And the brain's sneaky. And anything that reminds you of her will trigger.
Yes.
And if you haven't worked through the guilt, like the bad thoughts, I should have done this, I should have done that, right? Because that's just common.
Especially from
then,
mom.
Then it will come, and it'll come right before your period. It'll be worse. It'll come if you've not slept well. And like I call them ants, automatic negative thoughts. They'll infest you when your hormones are a little bit off or you haven't slept or times of stress. And you need to become a master ant killer. And it's something I wish somebody would have taught Aubrey how to do. We're working on creating this national brain health revolution. And I believe every child should learn how to manage their mind.
I do too. I think that would be wonderful, especially just to know.
If I'm watching this episode and if I'm a child who's struggling, or if I'm a parent who has a child who's struggling, or if I'm a parent who has lost a child to suicide. Like I'm thinking of it from this perspective. It's, we can't control the bad things in the world that happen around us, but we can connect more. And, if you're that child, things can feel so hopeless. They can feel so big in your world. But they're not that big in our world. I promise you. Like, and if you have those parents who you can't talk to, there are other people you can talk to. I think that's the thing that I want to get out there. It's like what we tell our kids. There's nothing you can say, think, hear, or do that we haven't said, heard, thought, or done. And if your parents aren't those parents, you need to find someone you can talk to. And if you're a parent who's in this situation, the guilt isn't, going to help you move forward. And so getting treatment for that. And, yes, you want to be able to see what's happening with your child if you can. But if you can't, you need to be well. You need to be okay for your kids. And for yourself.
I agree. I do.
It's clear you found purpose in sharing vulnerability on social media. So tell us more about the foundation.
So because Aubrey was on a wait list, that was part of the drive with that is I knew that there were a lot of other preteens and teens that were on a wait list also. And I just did not want financial reasons or a wait list to prevent a child from getting the help they needed. If they're telling the adult and the adult's trying and it's just not there for them. So we are, we're a year in, so we're still working on building that up. But we've put out resources on our website. We have a map and you kind of just click on your state and find the resources there. We're constantly updating it as we find them out. There is quite a bit out there, but there's also those wait lists and insurance barriers and things like that. But the website provides resources, and then it also directs them to the 988 number to get immediate help and things like that. It's resources for parents and children. There's resources on there for parents to help them understand. There are resources on there for children. There are videos. But the goal is just to be able to provide that and to be able to provide grants if it's a financial reason and just spread that. We ultimately want to be able to kind of go into schools and spread that and talk about what you're saying. Go to a trusted adult, go to someone. You have to be able to talk about those things. And then eventually we want a place that kids can go to rehabilitate. A lot of what we have is an inpatient for 10 days, in which saves children, but it's not
long-term.
Right. So the goal would be to have a place that kids can go and receive the therapy they need, maybe get the direction and dig into their brains, like what you're saying,
gain some skill
into why they're thinking that way. I think that kids knowing that, and learn when those thoughts come in, what they can do. That's long-term goal, being able to create places like that for children, teens, but right now just resources, grants, and just getting that out there.
I love that so much. Is there anything you've never been asked about this that you wish somebody would ask you?
I think that you guys kind of asked a few of those questions what was going on with Aubrey, because back home to everyone, she was happy and bubbly. And so I think just knowing that she still had those struggles and asking about that, what was behind that smile, what was going on. Lots of people know now, but initially, I don't think that anyone understood and asked. And I think that now it is known, but that was one thing that I
well, and if you have to be perfect, then you don't share your bad thoughts.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was that way.
Yeah.
I think a lot of girls are that way.
I can see that because you have that perfectionism
You
about
have to
yourself.
Be a good girl.
There's a facade.
Yeah.
Where can people follow you or learn more about the foundation?
So the foundation has a website, AubreyWyattFoundation.com. There's the Aubrey Wyatt Foundation Instagram, Aubrey Wyatt Foundation on Facebook. I have my personal social medias that I still share on those as well. And that's Heather Wyatt on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, all of those. And we share on both the foundation and my personal ones, the different information and resources coming out.
I am so glad you came.
Me too.
Today.
Me too.
You're so
I
brave.
appreciate it.
And I want you to challenge that thought.
I will.
You've been listening to the Change Your Brain Everyday podcast. And if you have these thoughts, know that they're common, right? Especially since COVID. COVID created this inflammatory bomb in the brain, and more people than ever before have the thoughts. But just because you have a thought doesn't mean it's true, doesn't mean it's helpful. And the consequences to the people you love are staggering. And I have seen that over the 45 years I've been a psychiatrist. Reach out for help. There is help available. And if you can't do it in your family, do it with someone at church or someone at school.
Yeah. I just, as someone who was not Aubrey's age, I was 23. I had cancer and I was 23, and I went through a severe depression. I didn't want to live anymore. I didn't really have the thought of taking my life, but I didn't want to live. And I used to actually pray that God would just let me die because I was just wasting oxygen on the planet. And I think back to that time, and it was so dark.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at my life now and I'm like, wow, like if people could realize like it's not going to stay that way. Like I look at my life now and how much I've been able to do, turning that pain into purpose. And so I think that that's just a really important thing for young people to, or anybody who's having those thoughts, to realize is that there is hope.
Yes.
And it can change so radically, but you've got to give it that chance to change, and you've got to reach out.
Yes.
You've got to
Well,
connect.
and that I have a book coming out in a couple of weeks, titled The Aubrey Wyatt Story. And it kind of goes into, obviously, a couple of months prior to Aubrey's passing, getting to know her, but then that journey after with what you're talking about and that grief, and obviously still working through it as I'm writing. But just those ups, downs, those highs, lows, like you're talking about, and just that journey throughout it.
It's like, God,
And
just
the
let me go.
peaks. Yes. Yes. But what
So
was
the
your
book is
point?
coming out when?
So it's in editing right now. So we anticipate the end of October that it will be released. We
look forward
just
to reading
released
it.
the cover yesterday. So the end of October is our goal
And
for
it's called
the Aubrey Wyatt story.
The Aubrey Wyatt
I'm sorry,
Story.
what you were about to ask something.
Oh, for how long did you struggle with that?
So I struggled for probably 6 to 8 months. And I remember people telling me to snap out of it, which is one of the most irritating things.
Yes.
So please don't say that to people who are in depression.
Don't say
If
that.
I could snap out of it, I would
You
snap
would.
out of it.
Yes, I agree.
So it was really hard. I remember my mom being frustrated, and like, what's the matter with you? And get out of bed. And then they put me on Prozac, and I wasn't depressed anymore. But
Yeah.
it almost ruined my life.
Right.
So it just wasn't the right medication for
Yeah.
me.
Your brain matters. Amen Clinics helps people with brain scans and targeted treatment across 11 cities: Atlanta, Chicago, Dallas, DC, Miami, New York, Seattle, Scottsdale, Los Angeles, Orange County, California, and San Francisco. Learn more at amenclinics.com. All right. Leave us a comment, question, review, subscribe, and the Aubrey Wyatt Story is coming out at the end of October. Thanks for listening.